All right, and this isn't just a milestone for The Amazing Race as well. It's also a milestone for the show's host, Phil Keoghan, our buddy who came to hang out with us here in studio. So he's been the host of this series since it first premiered back in 2001, and this season he's really getting back to some of the roots of the show. So he joins us this morning to talk about it. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning. You guys look good.
Thank you, thank you. Glad to have you. So we know we're celebrating the 35th season, being the host since season one, and to this point, how are you feeling about this kickoff?
Super excited. This is Amazing Race, bigger than ever before. Going back to back with Survivor is awesome. Both shows being 90 minutes long. This is the first time that we've really had the chance to open up the show with more time, more chance to show the world, more chance to show more of the characters and what we do. So it's a bigger Amazing Race. We have had 90-minute episodes before for a premiere or a finale, but never a season where there's been 90 minutes for an entire season. And that is just, it's changed the way that we can make the show.
Phil, I know that it's set in Slovenia this year, so it kind of begs the question, how do you choose where the Amazing Race, like where they're all going to and all the locations for the challenges?
So yes, I think we get to 8 or 9 countries this year, including Slovenia, as you mentioned. And for those people who don't know where that is, it's at the top of the Adriatic Sea. So as the crow flies, it's only around 50 miles away from Venice. The idea is, the Amazing Race now has been over 100 countries. The idea is to try to find new and exciting places to go to. We've never been to Antarctica before. We've never been to Nepal. So there's always countries that are on our list and places, new places that we want to go. But we also revisit a lot of places as well. For instance, I think India has been on Amazing Race, featured on Amazing Race now something like 17 or 18 times. France is the most visited country in the world and also the most visited on the Amazing Race. I think we're up around 20 visits. And of course, China, we've been there many, many times. So we are looking for new and exciting places all the time. And then as far as like where we choose to go, it's really just a matter of the team getting out a map and going, hey, what about this route? What about flying from here to there? What about contrasting the furnace to the freezer? What about a new country like Slovenia, which ended up being a real hot favorite with the teams?
I know in the past you've really brought people into the Amazing Race by pulling contestants who are maybe fan favorites on other reality seasons or series. Have you done that this season? How does that typically go? Do people surprise you when they come from other shows?
Yeah, it gets a mixed reaction, to be honest with you. Not everybody, hardcore race fans are not really keen on us pulling people from other shows to bring onto Amazing Race. Of course, people who are fans of those particular people who maybe have been on Big Brother or another show come across the race, then obviously they, like Derek and Claire, were on, and they're actually in our opening episode giving away a clue. Obviously, if you're a Big Brother fan, it does bring you across to Amazing Race to watch. I think it's, we always get the same reaction from, regardless of whether they've come from another show or whether they've never done the show before. We always get the same thing, or certainly I do at the mat, which is, oh man, I had no idea how hard this was.
Phil, we just talked about it before. We had your interview here. So the ladies, Sandra and Rochelle, said they would like to go on Survivor, and Terrence and I said we'd go on Amazing Race. So two-part question. What show do you think maybe is easier to win? And then what makes a good contestant for the Amazing Race?
Well, that's too difficult to answer, if only because I think with Survivor, it's such a mind game challenge. The Amazing Race is almost the polar opposite, meaning on Survivor, somebody else's choices can determine the outcome of how well you do. On Amazing Race, you really are making your own choices. There's very little manipulation from one team to another to slow down another team. Now, we do have the U-turn, which is in play, and that is sort of like the one time when a team can slow down another team, and only one team, and force them to perform both sides of the detour. But the rest of the time, people's fate is determined by their own decisions. as opposed to Survivor, where their fate is often determined by somebody else's decision making. So they're two very different games. So it's impossible to say which one is harder. I personally feel like I would do better in Amazing Race because I don't really want to play the mind game challenge. I would much prefer to be in an all-out competition and do well or not based on my own decisions rather than somebody else literally voting me off an island.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And Phil, we've talked about how we're going to have these 90-minute episodes that we're going to enjoy. These are like blockbuster episodes. How does that change the dynamic, even from a production value?
Well, if you think about this season, we have 13 teams. It's a lot of story. You guys know how hard it is to compress story into a short amount of time. And so a commercial hour is roughly 44 minutes. And if you've got an opening episode of The Amazing Race, you're trying to introduce the what, where, why, when, and how of that particular episode. You've got 13 teams. You've got challenges. You're going to new places. You've got so much you're trying to do in that 44-minute block. When you suddenly add on you make the show a 90-minute commercial, 1.5 hours, you suddenly have more time to sit on one more soundbite about the team and to sit on a few more shots about where we are and to give more context about what it is exactly they're doing. It just gives you the luxury of with a lot of cuts, you start with a fatter cut. You get everything you like into a fatter cut, and then you have to do this painful thing of compressing it and compressing it and compressing it and looking at every single frame and trying to pack it all into that 44 minutes. Now we have the luxury of not having to compress as much. We can leave things a little bit more open and delve a little bit more into character, into where we are and what we're doing.
All right, Phil Keoghan, glad to have you. Always a pleasure. Hey, when you come back to visit, we'll try to have some of that brisket waiting for you.
Oh, man, that was... Oh,
Well,
why'd you even have to say that? I'm thinking about it now.
We'll have it for you. You got to come back. Thank you so much.